Welcome. It's really lovely to be together on yet another beautiful Sunday. And we start with our reading from Rays of the One Light, our weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. This week's topic is, Does Satan exist? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. The Bible tells us in chapter 4 of the Gospel of St. Matthew, then, after baptism, was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. To most modern minds, this passage seems quaintly obsolete. Psychologists would say, have said, in fact, that the temptation of Jesus, if it occurred at all, was purely psychological. They call it a projection of desires lurking in his own subconscious mind. The subconscious plays a strong part, certainly, even if not a unique one, in any testing the spiritual seeker must undergo. The Bhagavad Gita, in dealing with this undeniable reality, quotes Arjuna in the 3rd chapter, and then Sri Krishna's reply. Yet tell me, teacher, said Arjuna, by what force doth man go to his ill, unwilling, as if one pushed him in that path? Krishna replied, desire it is, passion it is, born of the darknesses which pusheth him. Mighty of appetite, sinful, and strong is this, man's enemy. Yet even Krishna describes passion as born of the darknesses. The fact is, as Paramhansa Yogananda wrote in Autobiography of a Yogi, all thoughts vibrate eternally in the cosmos. Thoughts are universally and not individually rooted. A truth cannot be created, but only perceived. Psychology, yes, but psychology attuned to currents of consciousness that pervade the entire universe, attracted by each of us according to our own personal inclinations. Yogananda, quoted in The Path, said, I used to think Satan was only a human invention, but now I know and add my testimony to that of others who lived before me, that Satan is a reality. He is a universal, conscious force whose sole aim is to keep all beings bound to the wheel of delusion. We should take pains then to attract uplifting currents of universal consciousness and to avoid attracting the negative, which, disease that it is, can infect our thoughts, even while it leads us to believe that our thoughts are purely our own. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om. Om. Om.
Oh, happy Sunday. Um, does Satan exist? It's interesting flow on of our discussions because the previous week was around does God hide the truth? And it's a nice subtlety moving on from does God hide the truth into does Satan exist? In that when you think about, well, does God hide the truth? And I think realistically, no, but does Satan hide that truth? So if that exists, is that the reality of it all? I think we'll delve into it a little bit this week. I'm going to start by a reading from Whispers of Eternity by Paramhansa Yogananda. This is spiritualize all our thoughts and ambitions. O infinite alchemist, spiritualize our weaknesses into strengths and our wrong thoughts into right thoughts. Grow thou, a flower of divine understanding, from every seed of activity. With a magic wand of foresight given by thee, teach us to transmute the ugly imps of selfish ambition into fairies of all-serving noble aspirations. Train, Lord, each stallion of desire to become a champion racing for thine abode. Transform our basic ignorance into the gold of wisdom, that it become a liquid stream of spiritual gold, rushing steadily to thy shore. Om. Peace. Amen. This week I was actually thinking a lot about the fact that it was spoken of that Master pretty much didn't tie his shoes the same way ever. And I kind of found that interesting, and it made me think in relation to, how we go about our life. And in this era, and particularly, as we move on to a spiritual path, in that often we're asked to do certain things in a certain way every day. And then we talk about being able to, once we do those certain things in a certain way each day, to be creative. And, I was sort of contemplating this thought a little while all week. And then I sort of came to an understanding. And I used to teach motorcycle riding at quite risky levels because it was through emergency services. And one of the things that you do when you're teaching motorcycle riding is take away unknowns. And to do that, it actually makes you be able to concentrate and have less risks. And I'll describe that a little bit more is that, I can jump on a motorbike, which is simply a tool. It does steering, brake, and accelerate. But I can be so focused on how it behaves and what it does that it takes away my attention of what's actually coming or happening on the road. And as an emergency responder on a motorbike, you really don't want to be concentrating on what you're doing on the motorbike. You actually want to be concentrating solely on what's flying at you each day. And just to make things a little more hairy while you're riding a motorbike through traffic at high speed, you then have thoughts being thrown at you about, oh, I'm going to a patient that's really critical and they need your attention. And so next thing you know, your thoughts being drawn into these kind of things. And so to teach the tools and the physics and dynamics of that motorbike in a certain way, particularly to all riders, it takes away that unknown. You learn to jump on that motorbike and then be able to solely focus on what's coming at you. And that then allows you to be more creative on the spot in that second, in that moment, which adds to the safety of what's happening. And I thought about this from tying my shoelaces differently every day. What's the purpose of it? Why do we tie our shoelaces every day? Well, basically just to keep the shoes on our feet so that we walk around and do it. But it's the freedom in that. And we're always taught that we need to bring meditation and our meditation into daily activities and into our life. And it's kind of an interesting thing when you have that. And the reason why I'm saying this is that every day there's a pull in a different direction. Every day there is that ability to jump on and have a pull away from living in the moment. And it's kind of an interesting viewpoint about Satan. Satan is this pull away from centerness, from consciousness. Center everywhere, circumference nowhere. We have this center of pure bliss. We have this center of everything exists or nothing exists. And the further we pull away from that, the more of this duality we have. But our goal is essentially to not exist or to exist only with the true source of all that is. And each day as we go about our day, we have these little choices. And of course, there's big choices that we move on with that are very distinct, right or wrong. Like, will I steal this or will I not steal this? Will I lie or won't I lie? And these are kind of the big choices. But where Satan really hides amongst us are these subtleties that come into play. And I'll give you a conversation we had, or there's been several conversations around people that have been given terminal diagnoses. And one of the things that when you speak to these people, they say, I don't want to speak to some people. And these people are really good people. These people are genuinely there to give concern, and they're genuinely there to offer condolences or help or advice, and they feel like they're helping. And the interesting thing when you think about it, the first thing that our mind wants to do, which is this satanic pull, is, well, why did I get this? And then if I got this, what do I do? How do I change what I did to get it? And all of a sudden, we've got this satanic pull that's away from us. And everybody, as human nature that we have, this pull, always want to solve problems, don't we? We always want to think, oh, well, I've got this kidney stone or I've got this achy foot. And you're always like, oh, well, if you just go to the right podiatrist, oh, no, no, don't go to a podiatrist. Go to this person, go to that person. How do we solve these issues? We've always got these pulls in a worldly way. And one of the things that was at a Sunday service talking about does God hide the truth was often it's in plain sight and we are choosing to be pulled in a different direction around these things. And one of the stories that we heard from Nice Swami Parvati was that, and I'd be interested to, hear how many people have actually heard this story, but Yogananda, the turn of the century, or when he moved to LA, um, it was actually a bit later on. So it was a bit that he was in Encinitas, and there was a local real estate person that was really well known, and he came to Yogananda and said, "My wife is terminal; she's really ill. Could you come and visit her?" And Yogananda went in deep within, and he said, and he Divine Mother basically told him, "Not yet, not yet." And he said, "Look, when the time's right, I'll come round." Well, in a short period of time, the the wife of this real estate person had actually passed away, and the news got back to Yogananda that this person had passed away, and Yogananda said, "Oh, okay, yep, now's the right time." And he went around, and it was awake. There was lots of people, the business people within society, they were all there post funeral or post this. And Yogananda asked everyone to leave the house. And as Yogananda did this, he went in and basically called back the soul to the body and brought this person back to life. And the follow up from that was not one part of that, with all these people in the room, within a miraculous miracle in LA, not one part of that made a newspaper. Not one part of that made anything. And even as you sit here, your mind's probably thinking, oh no, it probably didn't happen. That probably really didn't die. And you know what I mean? It could have been something else. And that's that satanic pull that pulls us away from our center constantly. And that's an extreme version of it. But that's that part of us every day that in our lives, we have those choices, whether we are stay centered, stay in um, and actually accept miracles, accept that we have the power of God and we are do it. Every time we don't, it's being blocked. We block it, or the satanic pull around us blocks it within us. And I'm going to just finish with sort of one last story around it because I've started working in the kitchen in expanding light here, and everything is about process. And it's one of those things I really enjoy. I love the process of it. I know John Lindsay's worked in that kitchen, and they're very particular. And as you serve, you have to put the spoons in a certain way, and you've got to sort of put certain spoons in one way or the other way, and they all go out, and the salad gets stacked in a different way. And as a new person here, it can become quite overwhelming. And also, as a human, it's very easy to start going, oh, I wonder why they do that. I mean, Yogananda tied his shoelaces every day. Like, why? I mean, why can't we be a bit creative here? Why can't we do these things? And then you go back to the, John shaking his head, you go back to the, what are we here for? What is the purpose of what we're doing here? And in the kitchen, it's to serve food. And if we're going to prepare and serve food, what do we want to be doing? We want to be putting every single bit as a channel of divine love, divine energy into that food, into that serving, into those things. Now, just simply think of it this way. The satanic pull pulls us away from that. That satanic pull and Satan in existence actually is that mind ticking over and thinking, well, I could do that better, or I could serve that better, or I could put this in a spoon in a different way, and I can do this. And the people that do that are the ones that get burned out, the ones that accept the fact that this process is not here to put us into barriers. It's not here to contain us and teach us these new things. I think from a good perspective, if you could imagine how many karma yogis that have come through or how many people have served in this way, it's pretty easy to have a simple process to go through. But think of it the other way. How much now, as every day I get up and I know this process, can I put more of my focus on God? How much more can I put more of my energy to free and open up my heart to serve and allow that light that we all talk about to go into the food, to go into the surroundings and into the people.
Thank you. One of the things that reminded me of that story about the kitchen is something that Swamiji used to be really clear about, which is one of the most helpful things to attune to unity, which is higher self-affirming rather than satanic ego-affirming, he said, is participating in the music. And why would that be? Except for that, it's essentially what you were describing, which is chaos versus cooperation.
Hmm.
Whether or not we join the choir or just experience what it feels like, it's such an important part of understanding if you are in harmony,
Hmm.
because harmony is a unity consciousness, whereas cacophony or hitting the wrong notes together, that is actually pulling you out of that unity and harmony and cooperation into that satanic pull away. And when you think about this kind of image that Babaji leaves us with at the end of Autobiography of a Yogi, he says Kriya Yoga will bring peace and harmony to all lands, to all people, humans around this earth. And that is the wish that this ray of light has brought. And what better way to do that than to cooperate with one another? And what does that feel like? But beauty, but kindness, but nurturing, all of the things that radiate Divine Mother, radiate the light, radiate world brotherhood, cooperative community energy. And Swamiji said one of the easiest way he could tell if someone was out of tune was if they were out of tune. When they would sing, when they would be in the group choir, would they try to stand out or would they actually blend? These are all the things that he noticed for our spiritual growth, for our spiritual attunement and welfare. And he often said, "You're out of tune" during choir practice. Why would that be? It was to save someone's spiritual welfare, because once that pull begins, it can be like a snowball that grows and grows and grows. And as we read, it can be a thought. It can be turn into then an action, then a behavior, then a repeating behavior. And you have to catch them early. And one of the things that we can all do to stay away from ego affirming is to surround ourselves with Om, surround ourselves with the music and the chants. And the ones that we picked today for all of us are ones that you can keep going in your mind all day, all week, just to keep your thoughts on God, because they all affirm God consciousness, not ego. And when you think of like the opposite music of Ananda, what do you hear? Ah, cacophony, chaos, like downward pulling or that heavy beat. All of those things, we don't want to be a part of that. But that makes it so obvious and so clear. Music is such an easy example for us to then look. Am I going with the process, with the flow? Am I in tune with this harmony, with this cooperative community, with this essence of divine bliss, emotion, love, kindness, all of these things? Or is it the ego affirming activity sneaking in, the ego affirming thoughts sneaking in? So those are the things that we have to be aware of. And one of the tools that we're given for this week is that affirmation of generosity, which is looking for moments where you can choose soul affirming. But the soul is connected to all. It doesn't identify separateness. And the opposite being the ego affirming. It's very simple, very clear. And it's generosity of spirit, giving, it's that gratitude in motion, love in motion, all of those things that come from a place of unity and that cooperation in action. And then the other story that came to mind that would be really helpful is to you can close your eyes if you like, but just visualizing. There used to be an annual Christmas meditation that Yogananda led, which of course we now do. And if you can picture yourself in a room with Master, the avatar, essentially God is in this human form, and you're in meditation in the room, and all around are devotees living, serving directly with Master. And in that life, they had the good karma to be with him, meditating. And in that 8-hour meditation, Divine Mother comes and she actually speaks to Yogananda and she speaks to the room. And we have access to all of these beautiful talks and moments that were recorded by the devotees, where Divine Mother spoke through Yogananda and said that people's ego-affirming habits and thoughts were actually driving her out of the room. And Yogananda spoke to those in the room, and you could see it even. He said, Divine Mother is trying to leave. She said, you're driving her out of this room with those ego-affirming tendencies. And he said, please don't go. Please don't go. Please don't go. And he is fighting for each of us in that way now. Please don't leave. They want to be with you. Our guru is fighting for our very life, our very freedom to feel her love. But we are making the choice. We have free will. We need to know that there is something that does pull people away and down and out. And there is a key to get in tune, to get in harmony with the soul affirming consciousness. But our guru is there to help. And that is something that we can all take with us and have hope that if we allow his grace to infiltrate our consciousness by surrounding ourselves with him, attuning more and more and more to his ray, music, talks, all of our teachings, but going deep in the one ray, you attune perfectly to that ray that your guru is gifting you. How much more cooperative harmony and consciousness of unity can you access? So that is the goal. When we live in spiritual community, when we connect with one another, when we act in our daily life, and when we meditate, these are all moments and opportunities to be generous, to live in God. And we'll share a song now. This is Free at Last.
This song, Free at Last, for a scene in the play The Peace Treaty that took place after a clan's long battle for freedom. We can apply its message to our own personal battles for inner freedom.
Free at last from dire oppression, free from armies shouting hate, free at last from brute aggression, free a new life to
peace be our highest duty, joy in every eye be seen.
Free at last from dire oppression, free from armies shouting hate, free at last from brute aggression, free a new life to create.
And we'll take a moment now to really visualize this vibration coming out into the world. Rubbing our hands, allowing ourselves to be channels as we chant Om together 3 times. Thank you all for joining today, and we'll have to say goodbye this time due to what follows, but thank you all for being here, and we'll see you again next week.